Thank you for joining me on my workshop. I'm going to teach you how to do a web assessment for my dissertation. And we're just going to go through this pretty informally. Okay, so just to give you a heads up, I want to give you a little bit of background on my research. So my research proposes to identify the factors that contribute to the cultural characteristics of sustainability among higher education institutions, which from now on I call HEIs, in the United States, to shed light on how they represent themselves as sustainability. I have three objectives. The first objective is to document 4-year higher education institutions in the U.S. that self-identify as sustainable. And I've already done this, and I found that there are about 1,280 environmentally sustainable universities out of the 2,794 U.S. Higher educations that have an environmentally sustainable entity, such as a sustainability office, an academic department or program, and or a research center. And then in my second objective, which is what we're going to be focusing on, I'll be evaluating how these institutions portray themselves to society as being sustainable. And then the third objective, which we don't need to worry about, is to analyze spatial and regional patterns of HEI sustainability in the U.S., which means I'll be creating maps to show my results. Okay, and just to kind of give you an idea, this is what I have found in the first objective. This is a draft of the map. It is not perfect, and the data is not complete, but it's at least going to kind of show you where I'm going with this. Okay, so objective 2 is evaluating sustainability efforts at each environmentally sustainable 4-year university in the U.S. using a web assessment tool. And so this is a self-created web assessment tool that I came up with. And the focus is environmental sustainability, but we're also going to be looking at social sustainability with like 1 to 2 questions. Okay, so some background on this, just a heads up. In 1999, Robert Taylor came up with this idea for a survey analysis of environmental sustainability in higher education, and he did this through online web assessments, but he only had 4 variables. And so he did, does the institution display an interest in the natural environment in its mission statement? Does the institution list or discuss any environmental projects? Does the institution have an environmental major or multiple environmental majors? And then does the institution engage in environmental outreach? And then he scored this. So this was, of course, in 1999, and also he only used 4 variables, where I'm using 40 variables, approximately 40 variables plus the keyword section, which is extremely important. Okay, so I kind of break sustainability in higher education down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different sectors. So there's framework, faculty and staff development, education and research, on-campus experiences / student life, outreach and services, operations, which would deal with like recycling, things like that, dining experience would just be sustainable dining, transportation, dealing with transit systems, environmental or electric vehicle charging stations and things like that, or if they have walkability, and then assessment and reporting, meaning if they're going to show that they are self-reporting and self-assessing their sustainability efforts and then making that available to people. And so my whole idea is that, of course, sustainability in 1999 was important because Taylor did it, but the internet wasn't as great in 1999 as it is now, and so it's become even more important when students are trying to pick a university. It's important for them to go, of course they're going to go on the internet and look at the university that they are potentially applying to, and so it's important that the university's website, sustainability website, showing their efforts. And also it's really hard to define what sustainability is, and so through this it's very easy, and I can do this throughout the nation using the internet. It's very important to see how what they portray sustainability as. And because there is social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and then economic sustainability. And so most people, when they think of sustainability, they focus on the environmental aspect, or when they're at least advertising that they're sustainable. Typically it's going to be environmental, but you're supposed to take a 3-tier approach. And so the 3-tier approach is that you're focusing and looking at sustainability from an environmental aspect, social aspect, and then of course everybody's going to try to be economically sustainable. And if I don't give a definition of exactly what sustainability is, it's because it's really hard to define. There's at least over 90 formal definitions of sustainability. Okay, so conducting the web assessment. So step one is going to be using a Google search engine, and if you want to use something different you can, but I've been using the Google search engine. You'll just search the name of the university, then put in the state if you need to. If it's got the University of Southern Mississippi, you really don't need to put University of Southern Mississippi Sustainability. And you really wouldn't need to put Harvard University's, and then the state. And then you put plus sustainability and or environmental. So typically you can just put sustainability in, but then if I don't find anything, I go in and put environmental. And Google search engine is really good about, if I put in sustainability, it's going to pull up environmental anyways. Okay, so only use HEI websites in the assessment. Do not use an article from another source. So if there is an article by, I don't think the New York Times is going to cover it, but if the New York Times wrote an article about Southern Miss bringing recycling on a campus, don't use that because it's not a USM website. So that would not go towards it. So you'll not need to go past page 2 of the Google search engine results. Typically, you can go to the second one and look, but mostly everything is going to be on the first page when you find the results for this. Step 2 is you're going to be going through the web assessment tool and answering all 40 questions in the web assessment tool, and then providing sustainability related keywords, which is column AT. And there's multiple ways to do so. You can kind of figure out the way you want to do it. I think I'm going to just go in, tell you everything, and then we'll kind of go over possible ways to do this. Okay, so conducting web assessments. Alright. So how I've been conducting websites is I carry around a small notebook that I got from TJ Maxx, and then I will go and use the Google search engine, search it, and then start going through the websites. And then, because I've gotten pretty good at it, and if you do get good at it, you'll know what's on the web assessment tool, and I just start writing down everything that I see that I need to write down, and this will make sense more in a second. So I write everything down on paper, or if I'm at home and I have my computer, I will open up the Excel spreadsheet, and then I go to the column that has the keyword section, and I will just go in and start writing in my keywords, and then on a piece of paper going in and filling in aspects that are going to be in the rest of it. And then after that, so if I'm not at my computer and maybe I'm on my phone, I'll go into Excel and then fill out the spreadsheet. But typically, I'll do it in a notebook if I'm away from my computer. If I am not away from my computer, I'll just go in, open Excel, start filling out the keywords as I'm going along, and then have that notebook next to me so I can just go in and write electric vehicle charging station, bike share program. They have sustainability dining initiatives and things like that. Also, at the end of it, if you can't find anything that's, if you're missing variables and you're not seeing it, and you want to save some time, you can put in University of Southern Mississippi beekeeping to see if they have an apiary project going on campus. Or if you want to, it's typically not. It's not always going to be the easiest thing to find electric vehicle charging station. And I'll also, the thing with the electric vehicle charging station one, which I'll kind of get into later when we go through that section, is that sometimes people don't talk about that they have charging stations on there, but they'll say that they have an electric vehicle fleet. So I don't count those two things as the same thing. Alright. And so conducting the website is going to depend on the website. All websites are going to look pretty different. Some of them are going to list out all their initiatives, such as we see right here, where they'll just kind of go through and tell you what they have, and that's going to save some time, where other ones you're going to have to kind of go around and search. Okay, and this is just my notebook. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I have. So I'll go in, put the name. I put the date on there just so I kind of know when I'm doing it, and then as I will go through the website pages, I'll just start writing things down. So all these hashtags, anything that's a hashtag is what is a keyword for me. So they have a community garden. I think community garden is going to be, obviously it has community in it, so it's community outreach. So this counts for community outreach, and they also have a garden on campus. News is an important one. If they have a little news section, and it'll say news on there, put that down. Um, and then just a heads up, we'll kind of go over the keywords. The keywords is probably one of the most important parts because it's covering anything that is not in the web assessment tool. And feel free to put as much as you want to into the keyword section. If you're nervous about something and you don't really know if it fits, just go ahead and throw it. I've put so much. I fill it up, and I have to go through anyways and empty stuff out. So, academic programs, I'll talk about this, but I try to go in. Some university sustainability website pages are going to list the sustainability majors that they have on campus. Other ones, I will just go out of the sustainability website page, and that's the only time I do go out of the sustainability website page, and I'll just go and look up University of Southern Miss degree programs, and that way I look for programs that have environmental conservation or sustainability in them. Okay, this is how the Excel spreadsheet looks. You're not going to get this Excel spreadsheet because I have broken it down into spreadsheets of 50, but I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. So at the top, you're going to have name, state, all this is going to be filled in, name of the university, the state, acronym-wise. Sustainable is going to say yes or no. So all of these on here should say yes because I've kind of gone through and separated everything. But as you go through, some of these are going to end up changing. So some universities will drop their sustainability department or entity, while other universities, because I collected all this data from 2018, some of the universities are not even going to exist. So if you don't see anything to do with sustainability, just go in and change this and put no, and then give a reason why. So you can say no, nothing since 2015, no sustainability initiatives. They have sustainability initiatives, but not a staffed office found. So here it was just like they just had a short page talking about recycling, so that wouldn't count. It has to have a sustainability entity, which would be an academic department, a staffed office, or a research center. And it can have all of those, that's fine. And then you'll just go in and start filling these through. Anything that's in gray are things that I figured out after I had already started the web assessment that aren't the most effective questions or variables. One of those is going to be because it's off of Taylor's, and I'm not going into the mission statement of every university to see if they're including environmental sustainability. Some universities are going to say on their sustainability page that they have put it in their mission statement, the university mission statement, and that's where you can fill it out. But if it doesn't say it, then don't worry about it. So the grays do not have to be answered. So yeah, so this one won't be answered because this is going to be dealing with the stars, which I'll explain in a second, but I'm going to get that after I complete this. So it will not be on, you do not need to worry about putting that because we're not going to have a star score on there. Now, if you do see the stars symbol, which I'll go over, you'll fill out this and then you'll tell me why. But if you don't see it in there, you'll say no and then not available. And then this is, I'm going to fill out this. The O, let me remember which one this is. Are all students required to take a core general education course with an in-depth focus on environmental awareness? Most universities are not going to put this, or not going to have it actually. Some universities are going to require that a student take a sustainability core course, but most of them have not. But if you do see one that does, make sure to put yes, because it would be very interesting. But for typically all these, they're going to say no. Okay, and this is just the next page, just a little bit closer view. Okay, so also just a heads up when you're looking at it, if anything is highlighted over here, if a university is highlighted, it means they're sister schools, but they have different or independent sustainability entities. Some of them are, some of them aren't, actually. I've kind of gone back and forth. So if it turns out that you look at, and obviously Indiana University and Bloomington, they all have different offices or academic departments, meaning their websites aren't all based off of the same website, or their sustainability initiatives aren't shared, then you're just going to say yes. But if, for instance, these were all the same website, you would say yes, but you would need to go ahead and change this and say shared with sister school. So if these two universities had the same website, and some of them will, like SUNY in New York, some of those had the same website. Okay, as far as I remember. Okay, so